And perhaps our next panel will be able to address the question of what will the future look like in a concrete way. What will these agencies look like? How will they deal with the challenges that technology is presenting them? So it's my pleasure to present the panelists. I'll be moderating the panel. I'd like to introduce Tariq Miknas, the CEO of FP7, Yusuf Tuqan, Chief Innovation Officer of ArabNet MENA, Tariq Daou, Regional Managing Director, MENA at MediaVest, and Michael Nederlof, CEO of the Middle East and North Africa of Dentsu Aegis Network. So,
for advertising. Let's start with that.
How many folks here in the audience are advertising agencies, clients, brands, publishers? Please raise your hands. Okay, good. So this conversation is really relevant for you and the future of your business. I'm really privileged to have this audience here. We have been at ArabNet for 5 years really trying to engage the advertising sector. And I think more than ever, advertising is really overlapping with technology. And so our discussion is more relevant than ever. So I'll start by asking you if you could give us really quickly, maybe in like 30 seconds or less, what is the #1 challenge you are facing as an agency? What keeps you up at night today as a CEO or MD of your agency?
Talent.
Talent.
Change.
Change.
Speed of change.
Speed of change.
The mistake that data is bad and measuring is bad, like Nick said, I'm probably older than Nick and 40 years in the business. I don't like F1. So you're showing me a beautiful produced ad with high quality, very emotional, and I couldn't care shit. So technology helps us to target our best work to the right audience. Data.
Okay.
I would say speed. Everything is faster. We have to structure ourselves to be faster. So I think that would be the biggest challenge, and that, of course, overlaps with talent and it overlaps with everything else.
Interesting. So I want to dive right in, and some of the things that I'm seeing recurring, and first I'll start with media, right? The IAA is a partner for this event. We were at a IAA debate a couple of weeks ago. CEO of Starcom here regionally said, we're doing 30% of our media buying programmatically, automated, and we're seeing this going to increase to 70%. I want to understand, if this is the case, if more and more buying is programmatic, will we need planners and buyers in the future? And if so, what is the value proposition that media agencies are going to bring in this world of programmatic buying?
I'll take this question since my boss said it. Of course you need planners and buyers, right? I mean, do you stop going to doctors? You can go online. There are many portals that give you a lot of medical information, right? Do you know how many tools are there to help you optimize your financial investment and stocks? Do you stop going to financial advisors? You don't, right? So we're going to do more and more programmatic, definitely, because that's the right way to do it. We can, as Michael said, we can get the right people at the right time in the most efficient way, right? What I like about it is I think it will price up the value of the agency, right? Because now, the way the agency is structured, you have, let's say, 200, 300 people. Some of them do the high value end of our work, right? And some of them do the necessity of the day-to-day workload management. With more automation, which means that you can focus your resources more and more on the high value task that the agency can do, right? And you can let the machines do the necessity of the day-to-day booking. But the machines cannot work on their own, so, right? It's impossible for a day that you think a machine can create the right experience, the right interaction, the right magic that advertising is about. So it's a mix of what Nick was saying, it's a mix of what Michael is saying. Advertising is art and science. It can't be one of them alone. It's impossible. I know you guys like the data and tools, and that's the way we should do it. But without the idea, neither the media agencies can work nor the creative agencies can build their clients' business properly.
Michael, do you have?
Yeah, maybe it's a bit of an outsource or in-source question. So some people do their own performance. Some brands say, okay, I'll deal with Google directly. Some say, probably that's a niche or a specialist role. And programmatic is not about the automated part, but again, on the targeting and the behavioral targeting. So your best engagement you have with something you get exposure to is when there's a friend that tells you, okay, maybe you should watch this or buy this. And that's what iTunes and Amazon have been doing, showing us the relevant ads that our friends would recommend or based on our history or previous behavior. And that helps in programmatic, and it's the 70%, I guess, I missed it, is related to digital, which obviously will help and will start, but it's about digital outdoor, digital print on tablets, digital TV, and yeah, it'll take a little bit more time.
So I'll push you guys on this, and I'll say I was sitting with a venture capitalist in London, and he said, today Google is a general practitioner. Whenever anyone goes to the doctor, they've thoroughly researched their own disease on Google, right? And so
that's exactly what I just told you.
No, well, that's what you said, and what I'm saying is that yes, we need general practitioners, but perhaps we need fewer of them. Perhaps we only really need the experts, the specialists, or the really value-added
yeah, exactly. So the
consultancy
specialists become more premium, and that's why it's good for agencies, right? The number doesn't matter. We have less agencies, more agencies will be integrated. Doesn't matter, but it will become more premium. Yes, you can Google any information you need for your financial advice or medical advice, but you still go to a doctor. You still go to a lawyer. You can find zillions of legal cases that can give you advice on what to do legally, right? But you still go to a lawyer. So Google can continue to be our general practitioner, general counsel, but will be the value specialist that will help our brands that Google cannot be.
Excellent. So moving to the creative guys, right? We talked today about branded content. We had a lot of examples of branded content and how it's really kind of one of the fastest growing parts of the advertising space. And Tariq, you actually are heavily involved in branded content as well. So oftentimes within branded content, the brand is going directly to the publisher or to a production house. Maybe they're doing it with the media agency as well, working together with the publisher, sometimes in consultation with the creative agency, sometimes not at all, right? So where is your role? What's the value proposition you're bringing in this landscape where content is driving more and more of the advertising space?
I'll tell you something. I've worked in this industry here for 18 years now, and up until a year ago, I was in a digital agency, whereas now I'm in an advertising agency. There's one truth that's held true the whole time I've worked in this business, is that if agencies don't do their jobs, clients are going to do it for them, or find somebody else to do it for them. So when we were talking about digital 10 years ago, when it was like, oh, this digital thing, it's weird, I don't understand it, the reality was if agencies weren't offering it, clients were going somewhere else to find it. And I think that applies with anything we do today, be it branded content or anything else. So why is the client, why is the advertiser skipping the creative agency and going to the media agency to produce branded content? Or why is the client not only skipping the creative agency and the media agency going directly to U-Turn in Saudi Arabia to create and publish the content directly? Somebody's not doing their job somewhere along the way. And I think the reality is we can blame the change. The ad agency can blame the media agency can blame the ad agency. I think the reality is quite often we're just not trying hard enough, or we're just not making our case well enough. So, and the challenge today is that it's become easier and easier for clients to be promiscuous. They can work with 100 agencies if they want to, and we're all quite happy to be like, okay, boss, we got no choice anymore because it's so competitive. So I think in a lot of ways, it's not about what's wrong with the world. I think it's about what's wrong with us. And if we are having our clients go around us to find a better solution somewhere else, we're not doing something right.
I have to agree with every single thing you said. You stole my whole speech. No, but it's exactly right. I think that if they are going to another place to get it done, we're definitely not doing something right. And I think that in many cases, when we're really owning those brands, and we prepare a completely integrated product, we are delivering that full scope. And a lot of times when the media agencies are doing it, they're doing it in collaboration with us. So I have to agree. If it's not coming through us, we're not fighting hard enough for it.
So, but I'll ask you a question. How much would a 30-second TV spot cost me?
You'd have to ask the media guys.
No, the production. I don't want
production.
the ad spot. I want, if you're going to produce a 30-second, a nice 30-second
$8
spot for a
million.
company like GM.
$8 million, but we do it for less. We do it for
Okay,
about,
good. What, 100,000, 200,000?
it would be between like $200,000, $300,000.
Great. So now, how am I going to populate my YouTube channel with content every other day if you're going to charge me as my agency $100,000 for 30 seconds? I mean, clearly you won't, but how can you give me the volume of content that I need across all of my social channels with your current rate card and your current structure? Do I need a creative director on my YouTube content?
Well, no, it just depends on what you're doing. If you are shooting, the epic, TV commercial with the horses and the airplanes and everything else running around, then yeah, you need that very high-end creative thing. But you look at what we're doing here this week with our ArabNet videos. That's, 2 cameras and 1 person, managing them. So it can be done. It's actually, it's about just being smart about how you make that investment, because you're not going to make that big $200,000 ad every day for 30 days. But what you have to do is be smart about the content, So for example, if you're producing content for Ramadan, as I'm sure all of us are at the moment, a lot of people are doing 30 days of content, be it, stories like with a hakawati telling a story or whatever it might be. So the trick is just to be smart about it and realize, what can you produce once and what do you have to produce 50 times in a row.
And we're doing both. We're doing both.
And what does that mean for your structure internally when you have to do a lot more volume at a lower price point?
I mean, I don't think it affects the structure. The structure, it's the same people who are working on the big brand ad that are working on the small ones as well. And when it comes to producing it, again, it's a smaller team that's going to be making it happen. And typically on those fun viral ideas, people want to be there. And if it is going to be something where there's 30 days of it, then people move around. Some people don't attend every single day. You find ways to make it happen. I don't think it's going to be a case where we need to reinvent our structure to be able to do viral videos.
That's where media owners can play a role. A brand like Emirates, they want quality, so they go to Hello Tomorrow and they spend quite a lot of money to make sure they have high quality creative assets. And that fits that brand and that ambition. And of course, when they have to produce videos or anything, online assets, it has to be that same quality. And media owners know how to do content on a high pressure, on a daily or a regular basis. So yeah, a company like DMS or any other digital business in this region who has high quality connection with TV and with agencies is in that space. So for media owners, the future is not only to take a share of the bought media part of a brand's budget, but maybe take a part of the owned and earned part of the media budget, where more and more brands are spending their share of the marketing investments. So there's a huge future for media owners. And maybe there's a risk because we want to reduce waste and measure media better, where probably there's pressure on those rates and on those inventories because of real-time bidding, but they can make more money on the other, helping other brands and agencies working on the other share of the budget. So,
great. So, this is a question we were chatting about a little bit earlier, and I asked, who is doing social media services among you? And the answer was, all of us. Who's doing branded content among you? And the answer was, all of us, right? So, more than ever, actually, media and creative today are competing, from sister agencies to competing agencies. What does that mean? Are we going to see media and creative entities as branded content and these things continue to grow? Are we going to see them stand independently? Or is there going to be a structural change in the landscape of advertising?
Why? Why do you need change?
That's the question I propose to you.
Question. Yusuf and I were pitching together like 3 weeks ago, right, to a client. And although we had synced our presentation very carefully together to make sure we say and then the client asked, so who handles social media? And instinctively we both raised our hands, right? And we're pitching as one entity. But I love this. I think it's absolutely beautiful, this wild, wild west of advertising that we live in. Why do we need to say that this agency only does social media or that agency only does content, right? It's what capitalism is about. It's complete competition, which makes the quality of all the ideas go up. Yes, we might need to coordinate for management purposes, for process purposes, for margin purposes, but opening the industry to anyone with a great, fantastic idea to win, the best ideas will surface. Why do we need to refocus everything in one agency or two agencies?
Other thoughts?
You know, I think that it's gonna, I think we're gonna see some shift. I think that we're already seeing a lot of shift. We're already seeing a lot of cases where, especially multinationals and big brands clients want to deal with one person. One person, tell me what is going on with my entire marketing thing, because I got 1,000 other things I got to work on and deal with. So I do think that on some of the bigger brands, things will evolve into specialists from different sister agencies, or maybe even an agency that is competitive to you, but will be sitting together and working together on a single big account.
I was on a pitch last year for a client, and they wanted a digital agency. And their problem was they had one agency doing their social media and their media buying. They had one agency doing their creative. And they said, you know what? Having two agencies is just impractical. We only want one. So here you go. And they sent out the RFP to a number of different agencies. We went, well, we're really good, as Flip, my previous agency, we're really good at the digital creative piece, but we're not quite as strong on search and social media. Let's partner with another agency. So we partnered with OMD, and we went in together for the pitch. And the client actually got really angry at us to say, I'm trying to get down to one agency. Why are you coming in and pitching for two? As two. Do you know how many agencies they got in the end? 3. Because what they realized was that everybody was good at something different. And they were like, well, if we can't find one agency that can really be best of breed across every single one of these very specialized digital disciplines, they hired 3 in the end. Because even if you look at something like social and how fragmented social is, I mean, we work on clients where we do the community management, another agency does the listening and the analytics, and another one does the media buying. And that's all social media, and that's 3 agencies doing social media for one brand. So it's becoming very fragmented and very complicated, and it's hard to be good at everything.
It's impractical, and that's not going to last, right? I mean, it can't.
Impractical, can't last. We're going to see it fragmented. Thoughts, gentlemen?
It's how you organize yourself as a group. The 5 big networks in the world, they all have digital agencies, social agencies, creative agencies, media agencies. So a client likes to have a one-stop shop, but then you need to deliver and make sure if you have it within your group, you get the one brief and you get the one plan or one strategy back. And it's a matter of organizing yourselves. And that's what a lot of networks have been struggling. And if it's in your network or outside of your network, the agencies have to work together. And we as an industry have been not always that successful. If you need 3 or 4 specialisms to make sure you have one story. So, and for you it was a nice example, it's the same group and you raised both your hands on social. It's just a matter of practice, rehearsal one more time. But it's, no, I'm kidding. It's on the day-to-day job, we work with competing groups on some of our clients, and it's just the client needs to really motivate the agencies to work together, and that's where the clients play a big role. If you want one integrated approach, it's fine. You'll probably end up with 3 or 4 different units within a group or from different groups, but only the client can enforce agencies to work together. So it's not my thing, it's the client's thing.
Sure.
There are obviously 2 aspects we're discussing, right? One aspect is, do we need to coordinate among the different groups? And the logical answer is obviously yes. No one can possibly argue against coordination, against integrated, whether it's one group or different groups, and that's done. The other aspect is, does it have to be done by the same agency to make the life of the marketeer easier? The reality of life, it's impossible, because not one single a team or group of people will have the same ability across so many different skills and capabilities. It's not
Yeah,
possible.
but one team could lead all of those capabilities,
Yeah.
and so can still be a central point of contact and can still manage the entire process. Whether they have to outsource, insource is irrelevant.
I mean, I think it's nice to call it coordination, but
Yeah.
while you two raised your hands, right? And it was, oh, we just need to coordinate the process. It's going to be in someone's P&L, and it's only one of you.
Yeah, well, that's a good
So-
thing.
I think it should be with us.
Okay, so now we're getting to talk, right?
Yeah, but this is good.
It's not as this is a zero-sum game, gentlemen. No?
No, but this is within our group, and I'm not sure about the other groups. I report one number to Tokyo for 18 markets and 28 different agencies within this region, and all the bonuses of all senior staff are linked to each other. So at least when a client wants to go a one-stop shop, it avoids at least. We try to avoid internal invoicing political issues. It sounds like an internal issue of an agency, but if you do it right, it really helps a client to, and it also motivates staff, which we call it liquid talent. So you move around within agencies depending on what's the, how do you call it, what's the need from a specific client. So is it more digital, is it more social, is it more performance? So we try to solve it internally purely based on performance and remuneration schemes of senior staff, and it looks like it's working.
Plus, just a reality check. I mean, the areas that are common between a media agency and the creative agency, it's not the bulk of neither of our businesses, right?
But they are some of the faster growing parts.
True, but they're not the bulk. I mean, it's not possible. It's not the bulk of our business. Not like if Promo 7 and us, which is two different groups, we pitch for one social assignment. One of us win it, the other one is losing a big part of their revenue. It's not. Our core business, it's still differentiated. We have different set of skills that the client require. In some areas, we have some joint responsibility, but the core business of each specialized agency is still mostly different.
Okay, let's move off this topic. Michael, in our email exchange before the panel, you said something which I really liked. You said the point of communication is getting closer to the point of transaction, right? And clients are increasingly looking for e-commerce solutions. They want to leverage e-commerce. Two-part question. One, what kind of services or support are you guys giving to help the brands that you work with get involved with e-commerce? And two, how do you see the impact of increasing e-commerce for brands on the kind of advertising activities that they do?
A lot of us worked with brands to take them on a digital journey, because that's where consumers spend their time consuming media. So that's the last 10 years, and it's probably the next few years, and we're still behind when it comes to ad spend on mobile and digital compared to consumer time spent. But e-commerce will happen in this region, we all know, so that means that brands are going into e-commerce, and we need probably in the next few years to work with our clients to take them on that e-commerce challenge, which they sometimes have experienced outside of this region, but not in this region. So that means you need to have retail capabilities, e-build capabilities. And for media owners, that means that out-of-home solutions or retail type of communication solutions or NFC solutions will start taking share of the marketing budgets. So, because you can do anything with your phone, so they will take, but its mobile is still small when it comes to taking a share, but that will grow. So, yeah, e-commerce. We get a lot of questions from our clients, okay, what's your offering in e-commerce?
And so, would you say there is a specific offering you're going to offer to build e-commerce stores for them? Any specific solutions that you guys are going to offer? And I would turn that to all of you.
It really just depends on the client. I mean, we're talking to one advertiser at the moment who has a very large presence across the region, and they're looking at different ways to do it because a lot of them don't have the infrastructure. A lot of them are saying, why don't we just use Souk and create a branded presence there? There's a lot of different ways for people to do it. So I don't think anybody's quite there yet, but e-commerce is here and it's working. I mean, you look outside, you've got Pay For It and ArabNet and everybody standing outside, obviously making a go of it now. So the opportunity's there. Just the question is what makes the most sense to them, because there's logistics, there's legal, there's all sorts of things that have to go around that as well. There's distributors who are very hard to upset sometimes. So there's a lot of different things at play. So I think if anybody genuinely wanted to have a go at e-commerce, I think any of our agencies would be very capable of doing it for them.
Yeah. We have two areas we're somehow involved in. One of them is we have an e-commerce client. We work with Souk. And what we advise them to do is how to increase the overall population of e-commerce, right? So how to drive people who never bought online to buy online. And this way you treat them like a client who's trying to grow their business. For the rest of the client, we don't build e-commerce solution as a media agency, right? So we don't develop portals with payment gateways and stuff like that. But what we do is try to help our clients understand what Mike referred to, which is the consumer journey, right? So is it the last click where you put all your money if you want to sell shampoo on your website, or how the decision has moved and what you should do overall to get a consumer of yours to just go open their mobile or their desktop, go to the site and buy your product. So we try to help them, and we have several tools, and I'm sure a lot of agencies have tools to understand what drive a person to research, whether online or offline, and end up buying online.
Great. So I'll ask you an interesting question that I think may be relevant to some of our audience. If you were to buy one type of company, today you're sitting as a CEO or a regional MD, you want to build out your digital offerings, what kind of company do you think you would be interested in buying?
Any sellers in the group?
We're looking at the same companies, I guess, but we all have a different profile in this region. So our profile of our group is that we're strong in media and strong in digital. We'd like to be stronger in branded content. So that's the area where we will grow. And all of us are looking at mobile. Some made a few interesting tests in this region. No one is making money on mobile in the region yet. Yeah, I'm not answering on your behalf, but...
So when you say mobile, you're talking about a network, a publisher, technology?
No, we're not media owners. It's technology.
A technology, mobile technology play.
Yeah.
For me, it's anybody who's building a really good scalable platform. You know, to me, looking at things like Uber, like Facebook, all these sort of things where we do all the work, you know, the consumer does all the work and somebody just sits in the middle and makes money out of it, to me is what's really exciting.
Sorry, go.
I think it would either be a group of technologists that sit somewhere. They don't have to be told. Some of them, maybe the senior ones, are integrated into the agency, but people that can make things happen, make things real. If not, it's some crazy people that have incredible ideas that we can create new things and offer them and sell them to our clients, again, in the technology field.
I think one of the areas that all agencies are interested is content. I think the content creation mechanism is easy, so not easy. There's an abundance of creators. The biggest challenge is how do you distribute it at scale, right? So if you create a piece of content, how you get enough people to see it to impact the business of the client. So if there are companies that have solutions to distribute content at scale in different formats, that would be a very interesting value proposition for us.
You're asking the wrong guys. Agencies buy companies very late, and that's why we have to pay a lot.
Right, but you are standing at or at least my sense is that the industry is at a crossroads, and so it will be interesting to understand where you guys see the future and where you would want to invest in. So I'll just ask one more question, which is, if I were to kind of white canvas, paint a picture, the agency landscape looks like in 5 years, what would it look like? Many small agencies, few bigger agencies, specialized agencies. I just threw out 3 options. Give me some of your thoughts. But as concrete as possible, because as much as I've tried to pin you down on this panel, we've really stayed away from concrete.
The top 5 agencies in the world have now 90% share of all the $100 spent in the world on advertising, media and creative together. The top 5 have $90, and that's increasing. Almost, it's like saturated market. So we'll see a consolidation. One merger didn't happen, but probably something happens soon. And of course, there's niche agencies, and there will be new stars, and maybe there's a game changer like Google. But it looks like it's done. and then that means that we need to buy new players expensive to make sure they're part of one of the 3-4 networks that will survive. And you see globalization and convergence as the two big trends. So 5 years ago, 50 of the top 100 advertisers in the world had roster agency or one preferred agency to work with. And now it's 85 of the top 100 advertisers in the world would work with one agency globally. So yeah, that's consistency. That's not only from a procurement reason. So the Coca-Cola Facebook strategy is not different in Brazil than in Egypt. So they want consistency as much as they want benefits of consolidation and procurement. So you need a network. And of course, strategy and creative hot shops will always exist and pop up and new technologies, but in the end, the big brands need big companies to service them, unfortunately.
So kind of two clear, solid ones. One, more consolidation. Two, one agency, one client, one agency globally.
Doing what they do. So they'll have one creative agency, one media agency, one PR agency, or whatever it might be. And I think everything Michael said is absolutely right. I think these structures today exist because they work and because they make sense. And I don't really see a lot of things happening to really upend, what we do as a creative agency, what they might do as a media agency. There may be some overlap and some blurred lines between our role and media agencies' role or PR agencies' roles or whoever else's. But I think, and we will always have good little agencies that aren't part of Publicis or Omnicom or Dentsu or whatever it might be, but in reality, they're outliers, and they are, anomalies, and most of them will wind up getting bought anyway, kind of like we did, so.
Gentlemen?
I think on the agency side of the work, there is no way for the small entities to sustain over the long term. It's impossible. Scale will just take everyone by surprise. So the consolidation is the natural laws of economics in the agency. But I think that probably the groups will have more agencies. So more specialized teams will happen. The challenge of coordination will probably become bigger. But that's the way life is. Any marketeer who's complaining about dealing with 5 agencies, he needs to look at his life now versus his life 10 years ago. When he started, is his life as simple as it used to be? Well, this is it. You have to deal with it. You can't keep complaining because for the past 10 years, and I'm not as old as Nick in the industry, but at least for the past 10 years, I've been hearing people saying, how are we going to integrate and how we get all this? For 10 years, if it's been working for 10 years, and we've been nagging and complaining for 10 years, somehow it will work for a few more years, and we'll keep complaining, but it will keep working. So life is more complicated. You have to deal with it.
Okay.
I think there's going to be a bigger role for the holding companies, and the holding companies are going to be able to, take people out and put them where they need them to be, to give a client the solution that he needs. And clients are going to be very specific that they need this guy from that brand that they have, and that guy from the other brand, and they will put them all together in little mini agencies, if you like. But I think that it's going to be tougher and tougher for the independents. And because the big agencies are going to move fast, they're going to invest fast, and they're going to be very aggressive to take as much as they can. And when I think the holding companies are going to be playing a bigger, rather than just consolidating numbers, they're going to have to start figuring out a way of making use of all these different brands and agencies that they have to the best that they can.
Okay. Well, so this is kind of the end of my line of questioning, and I have been trying to question pretty hard. So, but we do have 10 minutes, so if you guys don't mind, I would like to ask the audience if they have some questions. And we have some solid questions already. So, David from ArabNet.
Hey, how you guys doing? Listen, I just recently read in the Soda report that 50% of agencies are investing in innovation labs. What are your thoughts on innovation labs here in the region, and what value will it bring?
This is a question for your colleague.
I can't see it.
Use it.
No, I think it's incredibly important. I think what we are finding now is that we do need to use technology to solve problems and find ways to do it. And I think there's a huge opportunity for it, and that's kind of why I have my new job. So I think there's a lot of potential long-term for people to do that, in terms of prototyping, in terms of building our own little products. Because I think for me, one of the biggest challenges we have as an industry today is that advertisers are paying us 5% less year on year in terms of rate cards, but our salaries and our rent are going up 5% a year. So we're getting paid 5% less, but we have to pay 5% more, and we still have to grow by 5% every year. And so I think there's a real opportunity to start to look at how we build products, how we build software, and how we build things that can be, you know, kind of constantly sold or licensed that bring us revenue besides the hourly rates that we get paid right now.
And I think the hardest part of that is how to sell it, how to make money out of it. Because traditionally, the way we make money in advertising, it's gone. We're not making as much as we used to. So exactly to your point, the hard part about doing it is when you have that innovations lab is how do you sell that piece of technology and get a penny out of every time it's used, or some kind of a way that we get to get some benefit out of it, because that's going to be an investment.
Most of the groups have venture capital funds to invest in startups. We're a Japanese group, so we invest heavily in mobile technology in Japan, and we work with MIT in the US on anything to do with point of transaction communication. So, but our R&D budgets are not like some of our clients' R&D budgets, obviously. But pretty much, I think we spend like 800 million a year on seeding capital and early investments on anything technology at the moment. So, and the other groups are doing WPPs bigger, so they probably spend more. So, not always known where we typically invest, but it's a significant, for the service industry, it's a significant R&D investment. If you compare it to other service industries, like consultants, like the A.T. Kearneys or the McKinseys or the whatever, they don't spend any money on R&D. Yeah?
Question.
Gentlemen, I've been in the advertising industry for quite a while, so I'm going to allow myself to say this. I sense there's some sort of a denial going on amongst the panelists. I know that you guys, I'm going to take you back to the beginning of your panel where you said that you're not working hard enough to get the work that is being used or the clients are taken care of somewhere else. But I don't even think any one of you is going to be capable of doing that, even if you wanted to. You have, you guys mentioned U-turn. You're saying brands are going to U-turn instead of going to you or to a media agency. Why would they if you have a channel that has the audience, a medium that can produce, script writers, production houses? The scalable model is there. So why don't you just go buy it instead of compete with them? And why are you denying the fact that there's so much money being lost on everything from creating small posts on Facebook to these branded content elements that will never come your way because you guys are not scaled for that and could never be scaled for that?
Well, I think there's a lot of questions there,
Yeah.
which is really good, and thank you for being controversial. I think, like you said, I don't think there's any denial, at least among any of us. Really. I think we realize that we are losing opportunities, but I think what we're saying, which is rare, is that it's our own damn fault in a lot of ways. And I think yeah, maybe somebody will go out and buy someone like U-turn eventually, but I think there's a place for everybody in this world. And for us, do I really, as a business, if I look at the business model, do I really want to go and make $20 a day managing social media for somebody who can't really afford me anyway? Or do I want to get paid $1,000 a day to provide high-end creative services, which I know the little guy can't do? So there's always going to be more business and more money out there. The trick is to figure out who you are, where you fit in this ecosystem, and just be good at what you do and constantly get better at it. So do I feel bad that I'm losing a $20 a day retainer for somebody to post Facebook posts? Not really.
And by the way, I think in a lot of cases you can bring these people in and they can partner with us, they can partner with you, they can partner with anybody else. Half of it is I think going forward is being open enough to share, to be able to split the revenue coming in and get the best of the best into one place to work together and solve our clients' business issues.
And it's not as a
You don't seem
crisis
happy
as you
with my
might
answer.
imagine. It's not like there's a big part of the total advertising budget going there, and then we're losing a significant amount of money that we can't live without, right? So there will always be share for different companies to get. But when you're working in a large company, you have a laws of scale sometimes doesn't allow you to take smaller jobs because it doesn't work for you from a just pure management efficiencies, all right? So this is where we focus on different types of jobs. Sometimes we work with them, sometimes we will compete with them. Sometimes they will win, sometimes we will win, but the majority of the available spend remains within a different type of exercise. So we're not in denial. We know it's a sometimes lost opportunity, but I don't think it's as big as a lost opportunity as you might think.
Maybe the issue
Oh,
is
you're
bigger.
still not happy with the answer, I can see.
You don't agree, huh?
I think, from my perspective, I think,
But he's saying, sorry?
yes. And my point is that actually most,
No, we have in this region, there's maybe a bigger fight, we're fighting a relatively small pie, right? This is the lowest ad spend per capita in our region compared to other regions in the world because of illiteracy, because of media, e-commerce, etc. There's many factors and the economic situation. But so of course we see a shift in budgets from traditionally bought media to owned and earned. So we need to be in that game, and sometimes we're late, so we pay a lot. But it's all of us. We need to make sure that why is this spend relatively low from most of our clients compared to the sales and the growth of sales in this region compared to low growth markets like in Europe. So, and there's many factors, but one of the factors is that people are from the Americas, Europe or APAC. They don't know the region really well. They're a bit scared. They don't think the media scene or the agency scene for that matter is that professional yet. So they're careful in spending. So we need to start measuring, not only to deny what works on creative, and I share Nick's concern of let's not measure everything and don't do great work. But there's no IAB. We don't have TV measurement, etc., etc., etc. Guys, we need to fix this. And then the big brands will spend 20, 30% more money, and all of us will have the opportunity to make better work and a better business. So we're running in circles if we don't really. And of course, there will be shift in budgets, and we will, if you have a good business, probably one of us will try and buy you. And that's bad. It's not arrogant or defensive, but that's the truth.
so I'd only comment with one thing to you, Todd. I think that when the iPhone came out, that Nokia was sitting on their laurels.
Yeah,
And
one of my clients.
I think that Nokia now no
we
longer.
survived, and we're back in the game with Nokia. So
Yes.
with Lumia, thank you very much.
Now Windows Mobile
No,
Division.
But that's not a fair comparison.
Small advertising.
Right? That's not a fair comparison, because we're not saying that the...
Excellent phone.
Wait, I have to.
We're
Shameless
not,
plug.
we're not saying that the agencies should not somehow change, right? I was just responding to a specific case of talking about some important or good content developers in Saudi Arabia, right? It's not fair to compare us to the telco industry, because the agencies are changing. And the way the agencies are changing, and this is where we discussed a lot about the different ways of buying, how we're changing our profile of talents, how we're looking into more and more accountability and way of measurement. This is a change. Will we be able to do everything that everyone else in the market do? Sometimes not, but sometimes we don't do it on purpose because it doesn't suit us.
So, and I'm not saying that necessarily you're not changing, but there is a difference between incremental and disruptive. And I think there is an element of disruption that is going on that you guys are, that hasn't been somehow addressed and to be aware of.
Why you're saying this?
Why do I say
Why you're saying it's not addressed? And give me an example, because when you're on one side of the industry,
because your answer was that it's a small part of the equation.
And the answer to what specifically?
No, I think stealing little bits, stealing little pieces of each other is a small part of the equation. I think if you look at a group like Publicis, 37% of all our revenue is digital now. I imagine even in this, this part of the world, I imagine it's still quite a big one. So yeah, maybe a lot of agencies are late coming to the game sometimes, but the reality is they always wind up winning in the end because they can scale, they can grow, and they can advance really quickly. So are we there yet? Do I feel like I work for a 21st century communications agency? Not all the time, we're changing that, but I think everyone has to change. When we're all, me, Tare, every other agency in this industry right now, we're all trying to upend the way we work, and some of us are doing it more quickly than others.
Our target is within 2 years, 50% of our revenue will come from the multitude of digital solutions, content, and data analytics. If that's not changed, that's talking about 70, 80 years old business, right? Overall, the advertising. I know probably some of them are older. But that's disruptive change, right? Now, we might miss one opportunity here and there. Maybe it's this specific opportunity I was referring to is not big enough. I'm not talking about content marketing, and hence, personally, you know how involved I am.
Good. Okay, I'm going to take one more question.
Yeah, we always hear that there's a lack of Arabic content in digital media and also in advertising. Yusuf, you told me last year when I interviewed you that only 4% in the Middle East and North Africa is coming from digital media advertising, so still huge potential. How will this shape the advertising, the agency landscape in the future? And regarding the 5% loss year on year, if there is an excess demand for Arabic content and this low market share, somebody must earn more money and not lose 5% year on year.
So what's the question? Is Arabic
The
content
question
going to
is,
make us
how will
richer?
this shape the landscape in the agency industry when there's a lack of Arabic content, everybody identified, and there's an excess demand, so somebody must earn more money, somebody must increase his revenues.
I don't know.
Perhaps that's a question. Perhaps that's a question for publishers. So maybe not for our agency friends.
But it also goes to what Mike referred to as what's the increase in the pie. If you look at the next 3 years, you're talking about a small increase in the total advertising budget in the region. The percentage of increase could be small compared to other markets, but we have an issue because, again, yes, the ad spend per capita in the region is not as big as other markets, right? And that's normal. Even if you look at the recent earning report for Facebook, you look at their revenue per active user, you see the mega difference between North America and the rest of the world. Look at Twitter, the majority of their users come from outside North America. The majority of the revenue come from North America. So unless we find a way to prove the value to marketeers and increase the overall pot by making it more measured, by making it more creative, by making it work harder, somewhere the money is not enough for everyone.
No, but brands follow consumers and consumers follow content. So it's a question for publishers if you or anyone who creates great applications, game-changing stuff. Everyone who's using Uber in this country.
Or Karim.
Or, sorry about that, yeah, you need to mention 2 or 3. So yeah, there's a game changer. Who's the next game changer in our industry? I have no idea. I wish that gentleman's, it's you? Yeah, all right.
Oh. So I'm just going to wrap up the discussion with this. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and insights.